All right, what's up, my brother? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Tinder Swindler. I've had this requested of me quite a few times, actually. So it's been brought to my attention that this guy is now the subject of a very, very popular film, I suppose, on Netflix, and he swindled a bunch of women out of a whole bunch of money. So I'm going to break down a few things. Some stuff, I've got some notes on here. A lot of it's probably stuff that many of you have not even contemplated. But a little bit of overview. So yeah, there's going to be some spoilers in this, so just sit tight. It's not going to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it. It's definitely worth checking out, especially if you want to understand dynamics between men and women a little bit. One of the things that I should say, though, is that sort of kick this off, that had the roles been reversed and it had been a few guys that had been swindled out of some money, they wouldn't have made a special about this. They do make specials for guys like that, by the way, but they call them shows like 90 Day Fiance, where some clown from the West basically wants to import a woman from like Asia or Eastern Europe or something like that, and then they end up getting milked for their resources and turned into a plow horse. But I digress. That's not what this video is about. I just thought that it was interesting that there was so much emphasis put on, oh, these poor ladies got taken advantage of by this confidence trickster in Europe for quite a lot of money. There was millions of dollars that were extorted in total, from what I understand. There was one woman from Norway who was extorted with about $250,000 worth of funds. But let's get into it, because it's kind of an interesting saga. So this guy, Simon Hayut, was his real name, I think. Went by a bunch of different aliases. His main one that he was using, he was basically purporting to be a diamond dealer for high-end rocks. Mentioned that he came from a very wealthy family. His father was a diamond trader, blah, blah, blah. That's basically who he was, or who he purported to be. The entire con was basically earning the trust of a bunch of women that were what we would essentially call epiphany phase. They were probably around the ages of 27, 28, minimum up to about 30. It looked like when they filmed the show that they were quite a few years older than the original clips and photographs that were used. So some time had passed. It wasn't as kind to them, but it looks like these women were about 30 years old, let's say. The reason why he picked them, and the reason why the confidence trick, and these people have been around for a while, by the way. They've always been called confidence tricksters, con men, confidence tricksters, stuff like that. But the reason why it works is that these women have been through the ringer. They're looking to settle down. And the thing about ladies is they generally marry a lifestyle. They don't marry the guy. So when a fancy schmancy guy with pictures of private jets and Rolls Royce and exotic cars and boats and yachts and all that sort of stuff with diamond-studded watches shows up, he gets their attention. The way the whole thing ended, he basically took advantage of a bunch of women, extorted and swindled a whole ton of money, and he only served something like 5 months in jail. It was something pathetic. But I want to talk about the women. So the target was quite interesting, because women love the whole fairy tale prince and princess. They spent a good amount of time building up that narrative, that story about how the prince and the princess, and these women sort of subscribe to this Disney-esque myth, and they see a very successful, or what purports to be a very successful guy who's genuinely pretty good looking, overall. One of the women did make a comment about overlooking him initially because of his height. So she said she went for taller guys. So apparently he wasn't that tall, but she overlooked it due to his, money, status, and his lifestyle. Again, all these women were post-wall. For those unfamiliar, women reach their sexual market value peak around the age of 23. After that, they're pretty much on the decline, usually close to the age of about 30. They start to realize, their biological clock is yelling at them. It's yelling at them. It's saying, hey, lady, where's the babies? And they're looking around and they're seeing their friends and family, settle down, have kids and all that sort of stuff. So the epiphany phase is a very interesting target for this guy. He's actually quite clever, the way that he executed this entire confidence trick, because he didn't target 23-year-old women. They wouldn't have gone for it. They also don't have the financial resources. So one of the reasons why he targeted these professional post-wall epiphany phase women with a career is because he knew that they would be a good target. They also have income. They've got a good job, which means they can borrow, so they have credit. Professional women are good like that. And he also specifically targeted, it seems, Nordic women. Norwegian, Swedish, I think there was mention of Finnish women also being involved. They were generally speaking from the more Nordic countries, more left-leaning, more feminist sort of thing, like, you know, that area of the world. And women in that part of the world are actually quite comfortable with spending money. Like, it's, you know, it's pretty typical that they go Dutch on dates, which just basically means that they split the bill. But you get the idea. So his targets were well placed. Again, professional, good income, and they have the ability to borrow. One of these women, I thought it was quite hilarious. She was on Tinder for 7 years at the time when they were recording. I think at the time when she had met the guy, if I'm not mistaken, and boasted about having 1,024 matches. And she's really basic looking. So that just goes to show you that very average looking women, like she had I'm going to say, a pretty exaggerated underbite. She wasn't attractive by my standards. I mean, I'd give her like a 5 on a good day with some makeup. Obviously on Tinder with the right lighting, or on a Instagram page, you know, others would probably rate her higher. But on that video that I had watched, she wasn't that attractive. But even a average looking woman still managed to solicit, after 7 years, over 1,020 matches. Which means she's basically been around the block. She's been on the carousel. She's racked up a notch count. Difficult to say what it would be, because women will match with, like, they'll match to get the validation, but they won't necessarily go out with the guy. So there's, you know, there's always that thing to consider, that matches will show up, but they don't always go out with the guy. But I'm sure she's racked up quite a double digit, maybe even a triple digit notch count during that time. There was another girl who purportedly said that he wasn't her type and they became friends, but I don't believe it. Women don't become friends with a guy and then you know, hand over $50,000, $100,000 to you know, to bail out confidence stricters. I'm going to talk to you about what it is that he did and how he did it, because I can tell right now, and also by a lot of the comments when they were publishing the press pieces, that this guy Simon is basically like one of these doomers, like the Black Pillars, sort of like Wet Dreams, like one of their icons, the way that things roll down. Because, you know, there's always the argument that guys get taken advantage of. They get taken advantage of in family court. They don't get to see their kids. You know, they lose their resources. And often guys will pay loads and loads of money. You know, the more simpy guys, you know, into OnlyFans and cam girls, and just to take girls out on date and to wine them and dine them, they end up being their best friend. Men are more than happy to throw loads and loads of money at women, but when women do it and they find out the guy's a fraud, oh boy, got to make a Netflix special about that. If you want to see the other version of that, just go see 90 Day Fiance, and that's the other version for the dudes. Anyway, so these women were seeking a lifestyle, not a husband, not a man. They saw the dude's lifestyle. He had all the right photographs. He had all the right social proof on his social feeds, like on Instagram specifically, with a large follower account, signaling to the world he's successful, diamond trade guy, private jets, car, all that sort of stuff. Again, I thought it was funny that the second girl mentioned that you know, she had dated a diamond trader before, and then this guy was the second one, and then when they met in person, she wasn't that keen on him based on his height. But again, she also forked over a load of money, even though she claims that she didn't claim specifically overtly, but I think it was communicated that she generally didn't get involved with him romantically, which I don't buy. I think it's a little bullshit. There's no woman that's going to hand over that kind of cash unless she's you know, hook, line, and sinker, in love with a guy, like head over heels sort of thing, especially from the lifestyle, if you know what I'm saying. So that was the play on the women. The play was interesting because it was about a 30-day cycle, it seemed, anywhere from 30 to 60. There was a woman towards the end who I think was finished that indicated she had been dating this guy Simon for 14 months before she became aware of the confidence tricks that he was playing on other women. But he basically used the exact same play: build trust, spend money on them, love bomb them, love you, miss you, lots of video calls, audio messages, DMs on a consistent basis, which, by the way, were all copied and pasted. You know, he copied and pasted them to all of his plates that he was spinning at the same time. Love bombing them. I want to live together, marriage, talking marriage, kids. Again, this is like within 30 days, right? You know, will you be my girlfriend, stuff like that. One of the interesting plays that I saw him use was he sent one of the girls, I think the underbite girl, the 5, to go out looking for apartments and gave her a $15,000 budget. So again, this is how he built the trust. This is how he convinced him that he was who he says he was, and that he had the financial resources, and that he was a big shot diamond roller. Yeah, you know, let's live together. I love you. We're gonna get married and have kids. I need you to go look for an apartment while I'm busy traveling the world. And you know, she would take her phone and walk around and show it to him. And there was video of all this stuff. Like all of this content was retained and I guess released to the Netflix producer so they could put this together. It was really well done. And you know, she's all excited looking at the apartment. You know, I get to spend $15,000 a month of this guy's money. We're going to live together. We're going to have a beautiful life, and you know, blah blah blah. Again, it's a lifestyle, right? Like that's what these women are typically buying into at this time. It didn't matter that he wasn't tall. It didn't matter that he was jacked, or sorry, it didn't matter that he wasn't jacked or muscular. He was kind of a rat-looking twerp. You know, if we're being honest, like. I can sniff these guys out at a mile, right? Like, you know, but he managed to work them, right? He also used wingmen, very, very successful, to verify the story. He had a bodyguard, big ass Russian dude. He had a business partner, which was part of the plan. He had a baby mama, which was also part of the plan, who on one of the first dates with one of the women, when he met her in a London hotel, invited her to fly from London to Bulgaria, if I'm not mistaken, which is about a 3-hour flight by jet. And just so you have some frame around the cost of that, to fly from London by private jet with an entourage, I think if I remember, there was probably about 6 people mentioned in the entourage during that first date, with the baby mama on the flight and his kid. Which means it's probably about a $5,000 an hour plane, maybe $5,000 to $7,000 an hour plane. They usually, you know, when you rent these things out or you charter them, they usually charge you by the hour. So let's say it probably costs him 15 to 20, maybe 25,000, just to take a girl who he hadn't extorted anything from, but just to invest into that, hoping that he would be able to extract resources out of her at a later date, which he managed to get $250,000 out of this one. So that was quite the investment. Even if he spent $15,000-$20,000, he still got $250,000 out of her, right? So using wingman was quite interesting as part of the confidence trick, with the bodyguard, the biz partner, the baby mom, and all the other ancillaries that were around him. And then he started to come up with, I've got problems. People are trying to kill me. They're freezing my bank accounts, or I can't use my bank accounts or my credit cards because there's people that are out to get me. It's danger. And I've said this before, you know, there's one thing that you can't do to women, and that's bore the shit out of them. You cannot bore women. Women hate being bored. You can do anything else to them, but bore them. And this guy knew that. So he built that storyline up of what a fancy life, private jets, Rolls Royce, money, watches, vacations, champagnes, you know, private tables at clubs and nightclubs and all that sort of stuff. And what he ended up actually doing, believe it or not, I thought this was hilarious. He ended up getting money from these basic 5s, 6s, and 7s, probably, would be the extent of them. And then he would extract that, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and spend it on hot, that looked like Russian models. There was one scene where he had a much younger Russian model out with him, and the other girl who, you know, was purporting to be, you know, like the friend sort of thing. She looked about 22, 23, didn't have the kind of money or access to credit like these women did, but he ended up extracting money from them and spending it on the hotter younger ones. So quite the interesting play that he used. So then after that, what do I got here for my notes? Social proof, urgency. Oh, he used a lot of urgency with these women. I noticed that. That's one of my other notes. It was always like, I'm going to be in this town on this day. I can send you a flight. Give me your passport information. I'll book you the ticket. Right? And it's like, you know, the next day she would have to cancel everything that she had going on just to show up and be with this fancy diamond trader guy, which women will do, by the way. She could have had a guy that she was dating for months and just put him on ice because of fancy Simon with his private jet and Rolls Royce and his diamonds and all that, convinced her, you know, to make a move on all that. So very, very interesting, you know, way that it sort of unfolded there, or even early on, right? You know, there was a lot of competition anxiety that he also introduced into the equation as well. If you don't know what that is, women have, like, if you can caffeinate the hamster between women's ears, their brain, and get them wondering, you know, why this guy's important, why do other people find him important, you know, social proof from other women pining for his time, even, you know, the good relationship that he purportedly had with his baby mama sort of thing. They didn't give too much clarity on whether or not she was an actor or not, but towards the end, apparently the woman that was the baby mama of this guy, Simon, was also one of the past victims. So I'm not sure what that story was. They didn't really deal with it. Maybe he knocked her up a few years earlier as one of the targets, had a kid with her, and kind of took care of her from there. But either way, she was playing along. She was part of the whole gig. There was a small child on the private jet when they did that trip from London to Bulgaria. Yeah, dude went all out. There was no holds barred with the way that he set this up. And then what he did was he started with small amounts of money. I gotta get going. What he did was he started with small amounts of money. You know, starting with, oh, you know, this never happens, but somebody came after me and my bodyguard basically saved me. So there was this one sequence of photographs which he sent over to all the girls. Exact same sequence of photographs. It was part of the play where his big-ass Russian bodyguard had a big cut on his head. He was a bald guy, he had a shaved head, a big-ass like welted cut, wide open, bleeding. You know, like the whole act, you know, in the back of a ambulance, and there's what looks like, you know, photographs of this instant, proving that there's people that are out there trying to kill him. They didn't get him, they get the bodyguard. And he's like, I'm in trouble. You know, I've got to stop using my credit cards because they're tracking my movement by my purchases, by my banking activity. He's like, you know, people are trying to get me, they're trying to kill me. And of course, what do these women do after they've invested in this guy? He's love bombed her. He's talked about buying an apartment with her. You know, he sent her out to go look at apartments. She's all, you know, she's all ego invested in this to such a degree. She doesn't even think at this point that he's full of shit. There's like, it doesn't even cross her mind that this guy is potentially a trickster and trying to extract money, because everything lines up. The private jet on the first date, the Rolls Royce, the driving around, let me make you a ticket and fly you into this town, give me your passport, blah, blah, blah. All of this for a month. And then all of a sudden, a month in, playa, uh-oh, people are trying to get me. I can't use my banking. I don't have access to money right now, but I love you and we're gonna have a family together and we're gonna have babies and all this stuff. Send me $10,000. Send me $20,000 so I can buy a ticket, so I can do this, so I can solve that problem. So it starts off small. It starts off with, and when I say small, yes, I realize $10,000, $20,000 isn't that small, but most people have access to that credit around the age of 30. I mean, most professional women, let's be honest, should have access to a line of credit or credit cards with that amount of limit where he could quickly and easily extract $10,000 to $20,000 just to get the ball rolling, right? And then that snowballs into investments where she's put out $250,000 over time, over, it seemed like, several weeks to maybe a couple months before they catch on. And of course, how do they catch on? You know, they start doing some deeper dive searches. Some things don't always add up. There was one girl that said that there was a credit card that was shipped to an apartment that I guess she was living in, that he was that he had set up for under a different name. So she noticed he was starting to put out other aliases. And of course, women find each other. You know, one of the things that I learned 20 odd years ago when it comes to deception is the truth always finds a way of revealing itself. I got involved in a lawsuit a long time ago. Early on when I started my business, some guy had duped me and fucked me over for a whole bunch of money. And my lawyer at the time said, you know what, Rich, don't worry about it. Just collect some evidence. Over time, the truth will reveal itself. I promise you it's going to happen. And sure enough, within weeks it happened. So same sort of thing here. You know, these girls find each other. They start talking. There's police reports. And they start to get some more information. And our con man friend here takes these chicks for quite a ride. Over $1 million bucks. It sounded like somewhere between $1 million and $2.5 million. Quite a lot of money. And he used their money, credit that he partied with, to go and hang out with younger, hotter women while he was spinning these plates and love bombing them all. I'm telling you guys, it's quite the story. The Tinder Swindler is probably worth checking out, if not for just a laugh. You know, I don't admire the guy. Like, I don't, like, doing that shit is just shit. Like, you're a shit person, bottom line. But you've got, like, the player in the game here is just like off the chart. Like, hiring a bodyguard and you know, purporting business partners that all play along, and these women meet all these people, right? You know, nightclubs with the connections and the champagne service and a Rolls Royce and all that sort of stuff. Listen, most women would fall for this, if we're being honest. There's probably a handful of very clever, sharp women that wouldn't go for it, from certain regions in the world, just because they're, you know, because they're made that way. But most women would fall for this. And this guy went through a lot of chicks. He went through a lot of women. He milked them for a lot of money. And believe it or not, he's still out there right now, from what I understand. I think since the show's been released, Netflix has announced that they have banned this. Sorry, not Netflix. Tinder's announced that they've banned this guy from using dating apps. But, you know, you make another alias, another false ID, you change your look a little bit. It's entirely possible that he might pull this off again, although he's gonna have to come up with a different story than Diamond Trader. You know, because he's known now. Like, this guy is now known. He's a known piece of shit to a good part of the world. And even if he isn't known to a girl that he's trying to swindle, one of her friends, she'll be like, oh, look at this guy that I'm dating, and he's like loaded and all this. She shows a picture. Chances are one of her friends, because that's how women do, you know, they rotate stuff like that. One of her friends will be like, oh, wait, that's that guy. And then, you know, he'll get called out on it. So it's not like, I don't think he's going to be that much more successful ripping off more women going forward. But yeah, dude has definitely figured out the game and figured out the right target, the right women at the right age, with the, you know, with the right mindset. You know, these women are looking to settle down and have kids. They've been on the carousel, they've partied, they've been with a lot of guys, over 1,000 matches on Tinder for 7 years. You know how many notches somebody must rack up doing that? You know, and she's enthusiastically talking about how much she likes dating and da-da-da-da. And it's like, all these Norwegian women, dude, they love to party. You know, they love that, like, feminist sort of lifestyle and that strong, independent woman. And, you know, they basically behave like men. You know, they think that having a career and their own place and being successful and having their own car, and they have the travel, you know, the proof of travel on their Instagram, you know, them going around the world, is exactly what guys want. And guys don't want any of that stuff. The reason why he extracted money from them was to spend it on younger, hotter women, which is what he did. So anyway, that's my reaction to the Tinder Swindler. I mean, normally guys would do something like this with the clips up on the screen, but haven't got time for that. I did cover all my notes and all the main points, but it's a fascinating documentary, so go check it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and give the video a like. There's some pinned items in the top comment you might want to check out for links to my book, my community, coaching, and all that sort of stuff. Have a look at that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.